So we're just talking, we're just having fun. Um, Hello everybody, my name is Tatiana. I guess welcome back to the channel. I am the founder of Tatiana J. Bastian Consulting. This is a conflict resolution consulting company. And I'm absolutely obsessed with effective communication and studying the role of mental health and how that plays into conflict resolution. And I have my amazing friend, um, Vanessa, and I'm going to allow her to introduce herself before we actually jump into today's topic.
Hello, Tati. Hello, everyone. I love watching your channel, first of all,
Thank
um,
you.
as you love to give a lot of tips on communication, dealing with people in a real-time situation. So I'm just glad that I can join you on your channel today so that we can just talk about some real stuff, have a real conversation, and just give some tips, give some pointers, and just interact with your audience today.
Yes, girl. Well, you got to tell us what you do. I brought on an expert today. She's not just my friend, she's an expert.
Mhm. Well, I am Vanessa Pierre. I am a multi-potentialite. So that means that I do everything. I love everything. I am an alto saxophone player. I am a trap music connoisseur. I transform garbage to gold. I am a former educator in my past lifetime. And I'm all about sustainability, all about learning, and I'm all about pivoting, right? It's my favorite thing to do. So that's why I'm a multi-potentialite because I love to pivot, I love to learn, and I love to just dive into new things. So I can't really pinpoint just one thing that I love because I love to do so many things. So that's just a little tidbit about me.
A little tidbit with all the things. No, I love that. No, that's good. So the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is because there is this myth out there that Black people do not care about the environment. And for a very long time, I believed that to be true until I caught you in your journey and you started to talk to me about, eco renew and sustainability in the environment. So I want people to understand that Black people do indeed care about the environment. And there's a very big connection between the environment, sustainability, and mental health. Okay, so that's what I want y'all to get out of today's time. All right. So I want to know. I'm going to ask you, how did you even get into the sustainability environmental space? Because you said that you were a former educator, so that's one heck of a pivot.
Yes, one heck of a pivot that was needed. So how did I get to sustainability? It was in 2017. I went back to Haiti for the first time in over 20 years, just as a vacation. We went to Decameroon, we went to Bouquet, we went to just vacation in Haiti. Um, and on our way through the roads, I witnessed the marchands, which are the street merchants, the street vendors, the Madame Saaz. They were selling their items. They were selling fruits, meats, vegetables on the side of the street. But what I noticed was that they were selling it right next to piles of trash. Right, they would just sweep them over, put their sheet on the floor, and put their items on top of the sheets. And I was just in awe, right? And in that moment, in my Christopher Columbus mind frame, I was just like, why don't they just throw it away, right? At that point, of
Mhm.
course, didn't know about the word of waste management, didn't know about the word of recycling or sustainability or anything like that. And I just thought that when you throw trash away in the bin, it just magically disappears into the world of whatever, right? So that night when I got home from where we went that night, I believe it was like Fort Jacques or something. I went had with the use of my iPhone and a good internet connection, not sponsored by, but paid for by Verizon Wireless. I went down the waste management rabbit hole, and I found out that at the time, majority of the world was selling our trash, selling
Mhm.
our waste, making a profit from our waste to China. So then went on another rabbit hole where I'm like, so what do they do with it after they sell it to China?
Mhm.
And I found out that the fabric for our clothes, if it's not 100% cotton, everything nowadays is polyester, that's plastic. Furniture, toys, appliances, everything that we use is plastic, right? Look around you in your household, in your office, everything is plastic. So ever since then, I just dove into the world of sustainability, climate, and how that really affects us. And that's how I developed Eco Renew Solutions.
I love that. It's crazy to hear you recount that story because I was actually there. I was on that trip. Um,
You
and
were
I didn't see any of that. Like I saw the trash, but it didn't stand out to me. And what's amazing about that is God knows exactly what gifts and what vision to give people. For me, I was in heaven, I was eating the food, and that was my concern. That's where I was. But you saw that and it led you to, now growing this business. And as you were talking, I'm sitting here thinking like everything that we wear, a lot of what we wear is polyester and it's plastic. That has to be negatively impacting our health. We wear clothes every single day. So I'm kind of thinking about chemicals and all those kinds of things. So yeah, I'm ready to get into this even more. Hmm. Well, since you shared your journey, I'm gonna share a little bit about mine, mental health. I think for me, I've always been really empathetic. I've always been a people person, very shy, but I just love to understand people. I always want to know the why. Why do we communicate the way that we do? Why do we have the issues that we do? How does the brain work? How does the mind work? And I've just always been really fascinated about that. So I went and I got my degree in psychology, and just kind of did job to job. Went into education for a little bit. Went on to get my master's in conflict resolution, and at the time, I still didn't really see the connection. It wasn't until I decided to take a job in mental health that I started to see, hey, we're not dealing with problems as well as we can because we're not dealing with ourselves. We're not dealing with mental health. When you talk to people, you will figure out really quickly that it's not really a problem. The problem is they don't know how to speak to each other. They don't know how to have good relations or just good communication. And sometimes it's because of a mental health issue. So I just took all of the things that I was interested in and decided to create a consulting company. So that's what I'm doing. It's conflict resolution, but I still get the opportunity to delve into mental health every day.
good. I'm happy you mentioned that, right? So I'm in sustainability, you're in mental health. So where do you see that connecting, right? So we're here today on your channel because you talk all about mental health. So why should outsiders care about
Mhm.
sustainability and mental health? What if I'm just a
Mhm.
mental health person? What if I'm just a sustainability person? Like,
Yeah.
why does that matter to me in my silo?
Yeah. It's a good question. I think where I saw the connection, it came in a conversation between the two of us a couple of months ago. But in my classes, my mental health first aid classes, I always instruct people to go outside and touch grass. And people always laugh. It's something that people say on social media, but my background is Caribbean. I grew up in nature, gardening, always at the beach. You didn't plan a beach trip. That's what you do every single day. And I saw the effects of that, and I didn't make the connection when I was younger, but now I see it. We need to make sure that we're taking care of our planet, taking care of our environment, so that it can operate the way that it needs to, and it can actually help us. I think that's another thing. The environment serves as a backdrop. We can stop working in silos if we get together as a community and go outside and go plan beach trips or go on nature walks and hikes and things of that nature. So it matters, and there's a connection there because we're all on one planet. We're working in silos, but we shouldn't be. We're all on one planet. If Earth get messed up, where we gonna go? That's it.
That's true. Where are we gonna go? Right. And I want us to also recognize, like, how do you feel when you go take a walk, or even when you like are just outside? I know everybody's like, oh, I don't want to get sweaty, I don't want to be it's like all of that, right? But like after, like, seriously, like after you take like a little 15-minute walk, you let the sun really get into you, and you sweat out. And not only is it good for our health, right, our like
Mhm.
physical health, it's good for our mental health too, because it's like being shuttered in a building. Have you ever, like, I remember I used to work in buildings, and then, like, let's say I'm leaving for the day, or I leave early, or I leave for lunch, right? Like right when the sun is at its peak. And I'm like, I get outside, I'm like, wow, it's pretty beautiful out here today. But you would never get to experience that because you're stuck in a building all day. So like it's super important for us to like be mindful of our mental and how the environment really plays a part in that.
Mhm. It does. It does. It brings me back to a conversation that we've had in the past when we talked about being in buildings. And I used to say, man, I don't want to teach in no dirty buildings no more. I don't want to be, in a bomb shelter. I want to be downtown where there's floor to
Yeah.
ceiling windows so you can actually see,
Yes.
what's going on. That's also how you get ideas. That's
Yeah.
how you're able to think, where you can see the beauty of
Your
nature and
mind gets to
your
start
mind
like,
is
yes, your
growing.
brain starts actually moving. Like you start flexing one of the most important, biggest muscles. Like you get to flex your brain. Your brain is
Mhm.
not being flexed. Like, it is one thing that you always mentioned. You're like, I don't like working in dirty environments. I don't like working in like, just like environments that with no windows or like a small window because it
Yes.
doesn't really incite anything like positive or anything creative. None of your creative juices are flowing.
Mhm.
Why not want to work in an environment that breeds creativity, that makes your
Mhm.
mind wonder with good things, good
Mhm.
thoughts,
And
all
that's
of that
nature.
goes into it.
That's nature. That's the environment. So just thinking about this conversation, I'm gonna turn that question back to you.
Mhm.
What do you wish that people understood more about the connection between mental health and sustainability? Because it's still very separate for a lot of people.
Right. So I was facilitating a course with Catalyst Miami for the past 2 years called the Clear Program. And what a lot of people don't realize, because a lot of people aren't going to be interested in it, right? When you just say go
Mhm.
green, sustainability, most people are not going to be interested. I wasn't interested in it anyways, which makes it even more relatable to me because I've been there, right? I'm
Mhm.
young, a fly, black, millennial. I don't got time for that,
Say that.
right? But in reality, all of that matters for the environment and how it has to deal with just us living life. So we had those mass flash floods last June, right? Last June in South Florida. No one knew it. No one knew it was coming. Of course, it was a flash flood. People's cars were messed up, stuck in the road, car totally totaled, flood waters got into the house. Like that deals with your mental, like that's the environment, right? Now
Yes.
that's the environmental impact, right? Flash floods. Now that goes into it damaging your property, meaning
Mhm.
your house, your apartment, your car. Those cars are inoperable anymore. Now you got to pay to get a tow truck. Now you got to pay your deductible to try to get a rental. Now you got to pay maybe to get a
Yeah.
new car. What if you didn't have insurance, or maybe your insurance didn't cover that, right? You got property damage to your apartment or your house. Now, what if you didn't have flood insurance? What are you gonna
Mhm.
do? All that stress. Now, what are you gonna do when you don't have money, right? Because like Tati and I joke all the time, not joke but joke about like I'm not depressed, I'm just broke, right? And in reality, that really is the stem of a lot of people's mental health crisis, right? If they just had a little bit more just to get by, then the depression just really wouldn't be there.
Mhm.
So those environmental impacts, like those flash floods, impact our bottom line, our dollar, and nobody likes when their dollar is getting messed with, right?
Mhm.
So that's just like the easiest baseline example that I can give you. But
Mhm.
even on a more on a more advanced level, right? So the Miami Herald last year had a report on the amount of trees in different municipalities within Miami-Dade County. They looked at areas like Coral Gables that was heavily
Mhm.
that had a heavy presence of trees. Where and then they looked at, let's say, in Overtown or Liberty City, where there weren't a lot of trees, right? They're more concrete than trees. What effect does that have to do with you? Who cares, Vanessa? Those are just trees. They're annoying. Whenever it rains, the raindrops mess up my shirt. It gets annoying, right? No, it has a lot to do with our bottom line, right? Because in those cooler neighborhoods, mind you, Coral Gables, that is a community with means.
Yeah.
That is a community with means. But I just want to show you how being poor is expensive. It is
You ain't
very
never lied.
expensive to be poor. So the communities like Coral Gables, where they have a lot of trees, those communities, those neighborhoods are very like now it doesn't overheat as much, right?
Mhm.
It doesn't overheat. It's real cool. And guess what? Now when your neighborhood is cool, it's not as hot. Your AC in your house, your AC in your car doesn't have to work as hard
Mhm.
to keep your house cool, right? Because the trees are doing it for free 99.
Yeah.
Now, when the trees are naturally cooling your neighborhood, your house, your AC doesn't have to work 10 times as hard to cool the inside of your house. And when the AC doesn't have to work 10 times as hard to cool the inside of your house, guess what? Guess what that benefits? That benefits your wallet, right? So now
Mhm.
your monthly FPL bill won't be $500 in the middle of June and July,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah.
get to save money immediately
Mhm.
versus if you live in Liberty City, if you live in Opalaka, if you live in Overtown, your neighborhood probably doesn't have those big oak trees that provide good shade, right? And I'm not talking about palm trees. Palm trees don't provide shade, right? Those are non-native to Florida. We're talking about those big oak trees. We're talking about the ones that provide the big shade, right? Now you're in a community like Liberty City, over town, Opelika, doesn't have a lot of trees. You're already struggling to make it, right?
Yeah.
And now boom, every 27 days, FPL is gonna send you that notice in your email or in the mail saying, hey, your light bills due, your energy bills due. Your energy bill $400, $500 because you keep the AC on all day. Because I mean,
it's hot.
Of course, you're gonna keep it on, right? Like, we're not telling you not to use it. You should use it because it gets hot out here. We're in South Florida, but that hits your bottom line because you're like, oh my gosh, $300-$400 for a monthly electricity bill. That's not sustainable. It's not sustainable. So that hits you right here and there. And this is not like some made up, like, okay, in 200 years, your kids won't be able to survive. Because I know a lot of people don't really care about stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, I don't care about that, right? We really have to tell people what it is right now for people that actually understand and for it to resonate with them. Because telling them that, like, oh, in 2,000 years, your kids won't be able to swim in the sea. Honestly, who cares? Not even going. I don't know them people. They don't know me. I'm gonna throw that. I'm gonna throw that napkin out the window, right?
At least real.
Yeah, like, let's be real, right? But if you're telling me it's hitting me right now, I'm gonna be like, oh snap, I can save maybe $200 on my light bill.
I gotta
by
do something.
Planting the tree and the trees that they're giving out at City Hall every month. I can just do that. That'll be more.
I know what you're saying is true. Is I'm thinking about the time. So much love to Overtown and Liberty City, but I'm thinking about the time like a few years ago when I worked down there and it was straight concrete. And I remember just being there in the environment, and it was rough for me. You know, it just felt like it was extra hot. You can feel the tension in the environment. I'm like, there's no shade anywhere I go. It's in a food desert. I can't find a piece of salad to save my life. So I feel what you're talking about. And just a couple months ago, I went to now I'm in West Palm Beach, and I went to where was I? I was in Palm Beach or Palm Beach Gardens, and it was so lush. And I'm telling you, the air felt different. I felt like I could breathe better. It was so much cooler, and I was outside. So I know that these things are having an impact. And when you said that, what you said? You said that it's expensive to be poor. I know exactly what you're talking about. Look at what you just said with the bill. So, okay, so we see that connection, and we got to figure out how to get it to a place where we need to care. We need to care because it is affecting us and it's affecting our money and our mental health. So,
and I think we do care. We do care. I think that a lot of people just don't know that they're connected to one another. A lot of people care. I don't know one person that doesn't complain about their FPL bill. And FPL just this year again, they had a town hall just a while back about them increasing our electricity bill again, right? A lot of people do care. I just don't think people know what to do with that concern, right? It's just like, oh well, it just happens. The same way I didn't know what happens when you throw away trash. It just somebody takes care of it. So a lot of people do care. They just don't know how to, number one, correlate the two with one another or what to do with that concern.
okay. That I want to put a pin in that because I want to get back to that, but also I want to kind of shift a little bit more to the environment because I want people to understand how it really impacts our mental health, right? So you share your own personal story. When have you been involved with the environment? When did something happen in the environment that you feel like it affected your mental health?
What happened in the environment to make it really so? I'll just say something that's like that happened more recently, right? I was always tired. Like, I'm the nap queen, but like after a while, I was just like napping. Like, I was just a habitual napper. Like, I could wake up, do one task, go do laundry. Oh, like, oh, I'm exhausted. Let me go take a nap. And it's like, I'm like, all right. So went to the doctor, and my vitamin D levels were like super, super, super low. Didn't know about vitamin D. Didn't really, this is like something recent this year. My doctor was like, yeah, your vitamin D's at 7. It's supposed to be at 30, just as a normal person.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, 7? Whoa. She's like, you haven't fallen out. You don't collapse. I'm like, no, I'm just really tired. And she's like, yeah, you need to take some vitamin D. I'm like, what's that? She's like, do you ever go outside? Because your vitamin D levels show me that you are never outside. I'm like, yeah, I go outside. I walk to my car. Then I go into the building wherever she was like, no, you need to be outside. Like, you need to let your skin absorb some sun. So that was more recently, like how I really even realized, like, okay, wait, like I need to be out touching grass, like what you said.
Mhm.
And a lot of people may, I'm going to connect it to people, right? Because I'm people and I know how I feel. So I know if people feel like this. And I've heard people say this too. They're like, oh, it's too hot outside.
Mhm.
Oh, I don't want the mosquitoes to touch me. I'm gonna get sweaty, la da 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 da, right?
Um,
Like, if you have a community that has trees, that has, well, like that's really cool. Like that wouldn't really be a problem, right? We live in South Florida, so it's gonna be hot regardless. We kind of got to get over that that nuance that we think, that nuisance. But the
we need to
environment really, huh? What'd you say?
we need it. We need to get out. Like I
We
think
we
we're
need,
just so used to the modern conveniences of being in the AC.
yes,
I like being in the AC. Don't get me wrong,
yes.
but we literally need it in order to survive. Like I'm so glad that you were able to go to the doctor at that time because God forbid you could have passed out and it would have been a whole different situation. How do you feel? Because I'm again I'm just thinking about your mental health. How did you feel when the doctor said that to you?
Um, how did I feel? I was like, I didn't really even realize that I don't go outside. I had to take a personal assessment. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I do go outside. And I'm just like, not really. Like, I do go outside, but like, I'm not staying outside. And I'm just like, I did not take inventory on myself. And I'm like, I think that happens with a lot of us. We don't really take inventory on our daily practices and how
Mhm.
detrimental it could be for us, right? Here I am thinking I do go outside. I'm not a vampire. But I'm like, no, really, like I purposely, and I used to always say to people, I'm like, oh no, I don't go out during the daytime. I like to go in the evening when there's less traffic. But also
Mhm.
it's cooler, right? So when I enter my car, that big slap of heat is not hitting me, right?
Right.
Now in the evening, it's less traffic, less sun, less aggravation, less sweat, less me like feeling I'm
Mhm.
burning up like a radiator, right? Didn't really realize, but I was purposely not going outside during the day. So that really made me think that, like, you know what, Vanessa, just like go in the backyard. You have a big backyard. Just go walk to your dad's house down the street. Like
Mhm.
it's okay to do that. So
Yeah.
that really had me thinking of like what my daily practices was, and I took an inventory on myself.
That's good. Put things in perspective for you. Okay. Good. I think we've already kind of talked about this, but are there any other ways that climate change affects marginalized communities? Like we talked about the FPL bill. What else do you see?
So other ways that the climate affects marginalized communities, like okay, we've all been there. Like let's say you have a car and then like your AC is out,
Hmm.
right? When your AC is out at your house or your car, don't nobody talk to me. Don't nobody touch me. Don't breathe too loud. You're getting on my nerves right now. All right, we've all been there. Road rage, anger,
Yes,
violence. Like there are studies done that shows that violence does go up over the summer, right?
absolutely.
Could that be
Homicide rate
attributed
is up.
to the climate? Exactly. Could that be attributed to the climate? We can look at Seattle, right, where it rains majority of the time. Seattle, Washington, like it rains majority of the time. It's always cloudy. The sun's not really out. They have a high level of depression, suicide rates. That is attributed to the weather, to climate, to all of that. Like this goes hand in hand. Like
Yeah.
we can't look at it as just a mental thing, or we can't look at it as just a climate thing because they both work together to produce what how we as humans are acting.
It's connected. You know, now that you say it, I'm thinking about the beach and how they talk about the moon actually controls the waves,
Current,
and when I go to the Bahamas or when I'm in Jamaica, whatever the case may be, those people are so happy. And I think it's because they're so close to the water. And I don't know how much science there is behind this, but our body is made up, what are we? I don't know, 70, 80 something percent
right?
water.
Water.
So there's a connection. It's not separate. I think Western culture tries its best to separate us from sustainability so that we can be just focused on work all the time and not realizing that we're not workhorses, we're people.
Yeah.
So there's a mental component to us, there's a spiritual component, there's a physical component, and we need to blend all of them. Blend all of them. So yeah. Okay.
I
So the
definitely
FPL bill and the homicide rates, that's real.
homicide, right? You road rage, people are getting frustrated. It's really every aspect of our life, right?
Yeah.
It really is every aspect of our life. Now, what about you? Has your emotional being ever been? Have you ever noticed it being directly correlated with the environment?
100%. 100%. I love being at the beach. I give you an example. I went just 2 days ago. So I've been dealing with grief. I recently lost somebody in my family, and and yes, I teach mental health every single day, and I tell people to take care of themselves. But the same way, um, I'm human just like everybody else, and I have been grieving, and I'm like, I have to get out of these four walls and just I got to do something. So I went to the beach, and I was on that beach and I cried, and I looked at the beauty of the beach, and I heard the sound of the waves, and was able to practice mindfulness, actually being in the present for just a minute. Something that we say like in the mental health field is that depression is a person being overly occupied on the past, and anxiety is being overly occupied on the future. Very rarely are we actually in the present moment. So being in nature, actually feeling the sand, feeling the water, smelling the salt water, it was so beautiful. And what I recognize in that moment is I'm like crying and thinking about my family member. It's like this beach is so vast, and yes, this pain feels so big and it's very real. There is something so much larger out there than me, and
Yeah.
for some reason that gave me comfort, and I was able to get through the day. It has been a struggle to just do basic tasks, get up, do my work, get on the phone, and do phone calls. I had so much energy, and I had so much gratitude after that time at the beach. So I am it's environment, it's sustainability, it's spirituality, it's culture, it's all
Yes.
of it. It's
Yes.
all of it.
Yes, I love that you mentioned that. I also forgot to mention that even with natural disasters, so we've all been through hurricane season here as South Florida natives,
Mhm.
and I know that whenever hurricane season is upon us, whenever there's like a hurricane threat, an actual
Mhm.
threat, you know, when everywhere you go into, every doctor's office, every building you go into, they're gonna have it on 7 News.
Yeah.
Everybody's rushing around, going
Trying to
to
get things
Costco.
done.
You go into Costco or you go into Publix, think like the shelves are looking thin, the
Mhm.
gas lines start looking long. So like that environmental event brings to me chaos because I'm like anxiety.
Yep.
Okay, we're about to. Where's the eye of the storm gonna hit? Is it gonna hit Wednesday? Is it gonna hit this? Like all that chaos. Oh, I need a new roof. Am I going to
Yep.
survive through this? My house already floods easily. Is my car going to be okay? Dang, they cut my hours at work because I'm an hourly worker, and
Mhm.
they closing down. Like, how is this going to affect? Like, all of that goes into the environmental. Like,
Yeah.
all of that affects all
Yeah.
of that.
And every year the storms become larger and larger and more frequent. It's not like you get that one big storm and then you kind of okay for the season. It's like back to back. So it's that constant state of stress. So I'm hoping by this point in the conversation that people are starting to understand the connection between the environment and our mental health. Um, I kind of just said this, but I want to know for you, how does reconnecting with nature improve your mental health? I talked about my time at the beach just now, but how is it for you?
Um, how has reconnecting with nature improved my mental health? I like kayaking. I like taking those walks and just like putting my headphones on and just walking just to go nowhere.
Mhm.
Being cooped up in a house or in a building, I'm a homebody. But after a certain
Same.
while, it's like, all right, I need to get out. I need to be outside. It really helps me. And I really love when you said that you looked at the ocean because I already knew what you're gonna say.
Hmm.
Because in that moment, like, yes, the problem that you have in the forefront is big, but then you look at the environment around you, like, wow, this world is so much bigger than just me or this
Hmm.
situation that I'm going through, right? And it kind of gives you inspiration and gives you another point of view that life is so big.
Yep.
You can kind of like draw your own inspiration out of whatever message that you find. from there, like how to move on and how to navigate things, and just listening to the ocean, listening to nature, or if you're outside, just taking a walk,
Yeah.
right? It really helps you just bring a sense of clarity. Because I know whenever I go outside, whenever I used to work in like a big building, and I used to just stand out there and let the sun touch me, like let's say I'm going to lunch or something, I'm like, this is the kind of life I want to live. I want to see the sun during the
Yes.
day, not when I'm
Yeah.
walking in at 8 a.m. and when I'm walking out at 5. Like that's not
Hmm.
the life I want to live. Like who wants to only see the sun just for just so long
Yeah.
as you're entering and exiting a building, right? So that kind of like makes me feel good. It makes me feel like, wow, we used to have PE out. We used to be a
Yep.
nation that honored PE and outside and sweating and just, just embracing nature and letting the sun hit us and getting a tan and just feeling good and just doing us.
Yeah.
So I know that whenever I do interact with nature, I do feel good because I'm like,
Mhm.
sometimes like I don't want to drive. Sometimes I just walk to the gym and I'm just like, I just want to walk. I know that
Yeah.
when I was canvassing, when I was running for city council, I used to park my car somewhere and just walk. They're like, "Oh, we can hop in
Yeah.
the car." I'm like, no, I just want to walk. Like I want to feel the neighborhood. Like I cannot feel the neighborhood if I'm in my car just going to each house.
Miss it.
You actually walk the neighborhood. You feel the vibe. You smell the foods. You really get to feel the energy. And each neighborhood has a different energy.
And that is living. And you mentioned something. You said walking. People think that in order to live this life or have good mental health, you have to have a bunch of money. That's not necessarily true. So, what are some very simple, very sustain? I gotta say sustainable because we start stuff and don't finish it. What are some easy, sustainable habits that we can do uh, to boost our mental health, especially using nature?
I personally like to journal and then journal
Mhm.
outside or read
Mhm.
outside, right? And when I say like read, I'm no longer reading self-help books. I'm like I've gotten all the help that I could get. I'm good. I'll learn along the way, right?
Yeah.
But I mean like just reading, like maybe reading fiction outside, sitting in the grass, having a picnic outside, going to the
Mhm.
beach outside. Like I went to the beach, got a cabana with my cousin the other day, and it was hot as heck, but
Mhm.
like it felt good. Like I live in
Yeah.
Miami and I never do that.
Yeah.
I live in Miami and I never do that. And I was just like, wow, this feels good. Let me continue this.
Mhm.
Right. So some of the things that I would just tell people to do is touch grass. For real.
Literally.
Go outside. There's no remedy, there's no like secret sauce. It really is just to go outside. Like sometimes you don't have to. Oh, like so I went to DC 2 weeks ago for a national convention, and instead of hopping in an Uber, so some of my line sisters were like, okay, some of y'all go take the Uber, but we're gonna just rent a scooter, and we just scooted around DC, and it was just so fun.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa, can't have this fun in an armored vehicle. And
Yeah.
like the wind was blowing through what I had braids. The wind was blowing through my bundles.
Okay.
Uh,
Now.
and like the sun was out and it just felt so good. It just felt so good. So like if you don't want to walk, okay, that's fine, cool. I have my bike. I go biking too because I'm like, oh, I
Mhm.
don't want to walk. I don't want to be bothered with walking, right? Scooter, bike, whatever. But just like really just get out.
Yeah.
Just really just get out. That really
Free and
is
low
as simple as
cost.
it is.
Free and low cost. I want to add to that because you said you can literally do stuff that you already do, but just take it outside. I had a
Yeah.
few work calls to make this morning. I took my daughter to the pool and I sat outside and got that fresh air. That didn't cost me nothing. I didn't have to pay for anything. You journal, take the journal and go outside, do a picnic. Um, I'm just now starting to get into gardening. You don't need a whole lot just to be able to touch that
But I
soil
keep
and to
killing
watch.
plants.
Yes, like do that. It's a process that's great for your mental health. It teaches you resilience and patience, and you get to just enjoy the beauty, and you get a sense of pride when those plants finally sprout up. But I think that's sustainable. That's easy. Go to Dollar Tree and go get you started. It costs it's almost free. It's almost free. Going for walks if you have access to water. Go for a swim, but just get outside. That's really you said it. There's no secret sauce. It's not like a bunch of things you need to do. Do what you did in third grade.
Yep.
Do what you
Which
can in
is
30. Yes. We talk. I like to talk about the culture stuff and spirituality and all that stuff. But are there any specific traditions, could be cultural or spiritual, that blend environment and mental health that you know of?
I think what we just said blends like spirituality, like so like the plants, right? Like you mentioned planting, right? We're gardening. A lot of our medicine is right there. Most of our medicine is
Amen.
right there.
Amen.
Like I have really bad allergies. And I mentioned to someone that I was gonna get my allergy shots for the year because I just can't take it anymore. And she was like, "Oh, just drink some black seed oil." And I'm like, "What was that?" And she was like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
just drink black seed oil. It'll help clear you out." And I'm like, a lot of these things that we're doing is really just like getting back to nature, getting back to what we used to do, right? And whenever I'm like having an allergy attack, I usually just have to go outside
Mhm.
and like my body will like my nose will run or my eyes will run. It'll just really just clear me out
Mhm.
some of the times, right? So a lot of times it's like those are the things that are like that are inside that we're stuffed up in a building, we're stuffed up in the house all day. But
Mhm.
but it's like what you said, that gardening aspect and that getting into nature. There's this plant that they call, I don't know what they call it in English. I forgot what the name is in Creole, but it's like the miracle plant for everything,
Mhm.
right? So it just helps you. Even culturally in the Haitian community and other African um traditions, like after you finish having a baby, like they
Yep.
steam you and they beat you with the leaves and they really excrete all the toxins and all the things that you had inside from when you had a baby, right? So those are all the
Yeah.
things that'll keep you aligned with nature, get your mental health intact, help you look good physically, because you know when you look good, you feel
Mhm.
good.
It
When you
feels.
feel good, you do good. So honestly, all you gotta do is really look good, and
Yeah.
everything else will fall in place. Will
No,
fall
but
in
for real, for the people in the audience who probably heard you say beating you with the leaves, they probably like, what the hell are you talking about? She's talking about a Haitian bane. I had the privilege to go through that and have that herbal bath, and that helped during the postpartum period. But you brought up a point that I wasn't even thinking about when we talk about those cultural and those spiritual practices. Just this past weekend, I told you I had a family member that, that passed on, and we had the funeral. And I had the older generation, came down from Jamaica and London and all this stuff. And my grandmother's a beautiful yard with all these tropical fruits. The young people were inside. We were inside sitting down, chilling, just debating each other and all, doing the stuff that we do. But the older generation, the first thing they did, they all got bags and they went outside and started picking leaves off the tree. And I'm looking at them
Yep,
and I was like, what y'all doing? Like, they're not picking off the fruit, they were
yep.
picking off the leaves. And I
Yeah,
went outside to go talk and to go learn a little bit more about what they were doing in the culture, and they were picking soursop leaves. And she was like, "Oh, if you have anxiety, you need this. If you have depression, you need this. If you are struggling with fibroids, you need this." I said, "All of this
yeah,
is in my grandmother's backyard." So, and it was, I mean, it's damn near free.
yep,
It's damn near free. So it just reminds me of the importance, once again, of going back to our roots. The generation before us knew, they knew what they were doing. They knew how to live off the land, and I think that's why they were a lot. That's one of the reasons why they were a lot healthier, I think, in
healthier,
this mental
and
space.
they survive way longer. This is why,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you have elders in developing nations that are old as who knows. Wake up every day, clean the house, walking miles, still carrying things on their head. I'm just like, baby, I'm 30, and I'm like, I can't.
In their
Who's doing
90s
that?
with skin that's so beautiful and
Skin
teeth so
flawless,
white. And we
everything.
struggling at 30, back hurt. Everybody got fibroid. It's all, I mean, and it's diet, it's the lack of connection to the environment. It's a lot of different things. But this is why traveling also is so important, because you get to
Yeah.
see how other people live their lives. You see what their
Hmm.
mental health looks like. You looking at them like, oh, she got to carry a basket on her head. That lady happy.
Yeah.
That lady is happy. So thinking about that, I know for me, I'm not even gonna sit here and trip. I get very overwhelmed. I have to consistently work on keeping my mental health in check. Being in this Western world and sometimes feeling like I don't have a lot of community, and just with the way that the world is, it can be very overwhelming. So for the people who are watching, for the people who feel helpless and feel like they don't know what to do, what can we do? What are the steps? What can we do to have more sustainable lives? What can we do to have better mental health?
Um, what can we do to have better mental health? I think it's good to find a community. And if you don't have community, I said it, journal. Like before I go and ask for advice, I like to journal
Mm-hmm.
because that's me talking to myself and putting down all of the million thoughts so that I can actually read it back and actually try to like map out what I'm feeling, why am I feeling this way, and what could I
Mm-hmm.
do to like pivot from that, right? It's so important. Like I know therapy is important. I get that, but
Mm-hmm.
no one is going to give you better insight on who you are than yourself. Your
Yeah.
therapist doesn't know
Yeah.
you 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love that we are in this era of therapy, but you need to know yourself more than your therapist does. Like,
Mm-hmm.
your therapist is only know is it can only tell you but so much that you're going to tell them or that they notice about you. But that's not something that you can just cling on to forever because you need to actually grow from therapy. Therapy is not just like a clutch to be like, well, let me just go ask my therapist. Like, no,
Intervention to help
yeah, like
support.
you like they're gonna give you tips for you to be better. Like there should be growth with
Mm-hmm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you need to journal, you need to talk to yourself out loud too. Not
Mm-hmm.
just writing it and like just reading it back. No, you need to talk to yourself out loud, have a conversation with yourself out loud so you can figure out who you are. What
Mm-hmm.
are these thoughts going through my mind? What does it mean? Does it even make a sense? Write it down so you can figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Other things that you can do, like I said, find a community. And that may not that could go either way, honestly. That could go
Mm-hmm.
either way. But that's why that second advice that I said, journal, talk to yourself out loud and really find out who you are. That's more important to me than finding community. I think that's first,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can
Get to
find your
know you.
community, and then you can do your therapy. Because if you're not a solid person already, you're going to be able to sway any which way.
Anywhere.
And how that interacts with sustainability, you can really start going out into nature. You can really start learning about yourself, living within nature, finding those natural remedies, and really just moving on from there. So
Mm-hmm.
that's my POV. Not an
Yeah.
expert, just very knowledgeable. I'd love to hear about your point of view.
Well, um, I first of all, I everything that you just said, yes. The therapy, from one of the first things the therapist is going to tell you to do is do your job. They're going to give you some extra tips. So I'm putting my stamp of approval on what you just said. And the key is to do all of it. I don't want anyone to get stuck in just journaling. I don't want anyone to get stuck in just therapy and doing nothing else. We need all different tools. The number one thing that I'm going to say, if you're feeling helpless in this time, trust me, I know what that feels like. If you are feeling like the world is crashing around you, I implore you to get involved in some kind of mindfulness practice. It is very simple, I promise you. Mindfulness just means being present, okay? If you're gonna brush your teeth and don't do nothing else. Don't be trying to floss, don't be trying to wipe down the tape while you're doing it. Literally focus on brushing each tooth. This is like the little baby step that you take to to I to lowering the anxiety, okay, and to focusing on what's happening in the present moment. You are a foodie like me and you really enjoy just eating, eat mindfully. In this country, we work through lunch. We do lunch, and that lunch and learn is a part of our culture. Opt out of that for one time and actually enjoy the food that you're eating. Like, go through your five senses. How does it taste? How does it smell? What's the texture? That's mindfulness. And you'll be surprised the more you practice that, how fast your anxiety levels, shoot down. You'll be so surprised. So if you ain't get nothing else that I just said, mindfulness. That's how you start to feel less you start to feel more in control, a lot happier, less depressed, much less depressed.
I love that. I love that. That just because I caught myself doing that so many times. I'm like, Vanessa, stop. Like, brush my teeth, trying to do this. I'm just like, Vanessa, so I don't know how you say that in English. Poisson means um point means take, son means blood, but take your I guess it's like another way of saying like relax, like ground yourself, like
Ground yourself.
ground yourself.
Yes.
Like my mom used to be like when my brother used to be eating, And she used to say poisson manger poulier. So that means like poisson, whatever it means, poisson. The food is for you. So like just take your time. Like we said,
Mhm.
use all your five senses, like enjoy it. It's for you.
Yeah.
This time is
Yeah.
for you. And that's just like whenever I'm driving, right? Or even like when I used to have to drive somewhere and I'm late or work. And
Mhm.
I'm not rushing because
Yeah.
I'm like, God forbid something bad happen. But also it's like I'm not performing open heart surgery. I'm not
Perspective.
that's literally how it is. I'm like, yo, life is not that serious. I think that a lot of us are doing too much to be like, oh my God, this is and some people are like, oh, well, I like be punctual. I get it. Be punctual, but also like be mindful that like stop taking everything so seriously. Like,
Mhm.
not
Mhm.
saying you gotta be a bum or you gotta no, but just be more mindful of like just be present. Like, okay, I'm gonna get there.
Right.
I'm gonna get there. Like, and then that anxiety when you're running late or when you're trying to like rush in traffic, you never really get anywhere that far. You just keep getting more upset, and then like
Yep.
your heart's pumping. You got adrenaline. You this, you that. Now you're mad when you get there. Like you got to take a moment to cool off. Like why?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
wanna arrive there cool. I wanna arrive there calm.
Right.
So I get there when I get there. Like
Okay. Mindfulness and a perspective shift. I agree with that 1,000%. Now, this is more of a macro question, but I'm so curious to hear your perspective on this. How do we build a community that really prioritizes mental health and sustainability? How do we build a community that cares about those two areas?
um, as I said, I think that the community already does care about the two. They just don't know that they do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you care about your FPL bill, right? You care about that. You care about when it floods, if it gets into your house, or if it's going to mess up your engine. Why? Because the sewer, what is it called? Like the gutter, like the sewer thing, like you know what I'm talking about? Like the thing that's in the
Yeah, the
street
street. Yeah.
that connects it. So like they're like, oh man, if it wasn't so clogged up, maybe the water could have drained more.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody cares about those things. I think everybody cares about that. They just, like I said before when we began, like people just don't know like that they care about it. They don't
Yeah.
understand that they just made that connection. They just think that this is this and this is that. No, you care about it. You just didn't know that your FPL bill directly correlates with how hot it is and how many trees you don't have in your
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood. So I really think it's just education, like helping people understand that A plus B equals C,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because they just think A stands alone as an issue and B stands alone as an issue,
Mm-hmm.
but combine them and they make a new baby. They
Yeah.
they they make a baby, and the baby
Yeah.
may be here to haunt you, right? So I think people do care. They just don't know that.
They'll know that they care. That's it's a good point. I think for me, what that looks like, how do we build communities that care about both? They care about mental health. They care about, the environment, ecology. It starts with education. We're both educators. It needs to be happening in the school system, but it needs to be happening at home first. Let me say that because I think we put too much on the school system. For me, the easiest thing is to garden, go to the beach, do little science experiments, do small things. I'm a working parent. At this point in time, I can't put my kids in a $50,000 private school that can do those things. Coming soon though, but I can do those small projects at home. I can institute Saturday school at home and engage in yoga and meditation and breath work and journaling with my children. We can go outside and go for walks and things of that nature. What I want to see on a micro level, I would love to see, especially in urban areas where there's areas of poverty, I want to see us change apartment buildings in the way that we build homes. And I want to see nature more incorporated into the way that we build. You know, maybe it's an indoor outdoor pool, maybe it's a actual living tree in the middle of an apartment building, so people actually get to touch grass, you know, right inside. But even before that, we gotta deal with the financial stuff, because I think it's what you said, people care, but they're so stressed out about the money, like the day to day of not having, that they can't fully pour into their mental health. They can't fully pour into projects like, you know, clean up a beachside cleanup or things like that. So I guess all in all, I want to see the financial crisis resolved. I want to see us learn more about finances. I want us to take account for ourselves and learn more about mental health in our own homes. And then I want to see this on a macro level in schools, and I want to see it at a governmental level doing more in both of those areas.
Yeah, love that you said like we can't put it all on the teachers, right? They can only do
Mhm.
so much and so very little, especially depending
Okay.
on what state you're in. They are running those teachers to the ground. All right. So
Oh yeah,
parents, please take this. I mean, they are your child. So,
yeah.
God
You're the
forbid,
first teacher.
you know,
You're the
God,
first teacher as a parent.
God forbid you got to teach at home. But like even those like those projects we used to do in elementary school. You take a lima bean
Yes.
in a cup. You even got to go to Home Depot. Just dig up some dirt on the street, anywhere. Put it in the cup and watch the lima bean grow on your windowsill. Literally, that is like the freest 99. Or even
Yeah.
like I was cooking the other day and I saved the seeds from the bell pepper, and I'm like, I'm
Hmm.
gonna grow a bell pepper.
Same.
Like went on YouTube, and I was like, how do you grow a bell pepper? And this is my thing. Like we have all these smartphones and we're not using it to its fullest capability. You scrolling
Mhm.
on TikTok all day and Instagram. Ain't
No
that much?
shade. No shade.
No shade, because I'm guilty too. But like, let's use our smartphone for more than just scrolling, doom scrolling all day, right? So those projects that you can do for like free at home, do those do those things with your kids, like incorporate it into your
Yeah.
lifestyle. And because like we see how every week there's a new article like, hey, they just approved lab grown meat, they just approved this. Like,
Mhm.
why not want to learn how to just be sustainable on your own? Because
On your
now,
own.
right, like who wants to, who really wants to make it normal that we're eating lab grown mystery meat? Not even about mystery meat, just
Mystery
byproduct.
meat. We don't even know what it is.
Yeah, it's
Mystery
just
meat.
mystery
That
meats.
makes me think of it. It makes me think of like some of the commercials that I've seen. I don't know if you saw that one where it was like a couple months ago on TikTok about, it was a rumor about KFC possibly feeding us human meat. So with that being said, because I don't even want to go down that rabbit hole, but with that being
They gonna
said,
get
what
you. They gonna
role
get you.
does, you hear me? You're gonna cancel my
The
shout
views
before I even
expressed
get
are that
started.
of Tati and Tati alone. Let me stop. I don't even eat meat like that since I was a kid, so I ain't saying I'm good, but
I be on KFC. Popeyes the best. I be on it. I be on it. But thinking about that, now I'm hungry. What role does the media play in how people perceive both of those industries, sustainability and mental health?
what role does the media play? I mean, I can't even keep it just to sustainability and mental health.
Mhm.
I'm glad that I am someone that doesn't really consume a lot of TV. And media is social media as well. Like I don't really believe most of the things that I read. Like I'll read it. I may share it, but I believe it, right? Because like, especially in this age of misinformation and people with less than normal low critical thinking skills, it's really easy for people to just be wrapped up in the headlines, not even read, not even know what a valid, reliable source is, them just believing whatever. Um, and then it's not enough for us to just say, oh, do your research, right? Because people are going to go on Chat GPT and just
Mhm.
take the first thing, and it's like, hey, that's not even a real, that's
No,
the
it's not. It's
onion.com.
not
It's not even,
correct.
yeah, it's not even a real website. Hey, so it's not even enough for us to be like, go do your research, because somebody that doesn't know,
Mhm.
they're going to go do their research and they're going to find the
Yeah.
first link and think that everything that they find online is real. So what role does the media play in mental health and sustainability? They play a big role, just like how they play a big role, just like how big pharma has a big like plays a big hand in giving us pills down our throats versus finding
Mhm.
natural
Mhm.
remedies for our more than preventable illnesses. So I think that it all has to do with having critical thinking skills, having discernment, and wanting to do more, wanting to do better
Yeah.
for yourself. So if you want to do better, you're going to find a way to do better. And it shouldn't be left
Yeah.
upon media or big pharma, because if you know how to use your smartphone, you should know how to do everything else. Or find a way. Ask
Mhm.
somebody else that's smarter.
I feel that. I like how you put the responsibility back on us because sometimes we get stuck in that trap. Well, it's the TV or the magazines and all that kind of stuff, but
I
it's
don't
both.
believe I don't believe
It's both.
that's just I don't believe in pointing blame. I'm just like, that's just a medium for
Mhm.
information, whether it be good information or bad information. Like that's just like I always tell people, they're like, oh, well, I didn't learn that growing up. Okay, well, my parents didn't teach me. Okay, well, your parents also told you not to do this and you still did it. So
Right.
we can't keep passing the blame onto the man or anybody else.
Yeah.
Like we have free will. We need to use our free will.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think I'm very happy that the media has changed its tune. I think that we're becoming a lot more aware. I'm not going to speak too much to sustainability, but definitely mental health. Things have gotten so much better. I grew up. My one of my younger brothers is autistic, and back in the '90s, we didn't really have a word for that. We used to say developmentally delayed, and it was like this strange thing.
And even
But now
developmentally,
we got
it was EED, or no, it was retard, like retarded, or like
yeah,
those were those,
all kinds of stuff.
because development delayed is still pretty politically
It's
correct.
pretty. It's pretty new and it's pretty politically correct, and you are correct. But now we have entire shows. I forget what is it called, Love on the Spectrum, and all of these different things. And we are seeing really like beautiful characters on TV go to therapy. I'm talking about characters that look like us, not just white people. Because there's this thing that Black people have for a long time. Was like, oh, therapy's for white people. No, you see people like us, people of color, that are actively in therapy. They're holding roles as therapists. The way that we talk about mental health on TV, you see it in commercials. There's so much more conversation, and I'm talking about healthy conversation when it comes to mental health. And that is huge because we don't get everything from just our parents. Like we watch TV, we consume social media, and the messages that are coming in are important and they do shape our conversations. They shape if we choose to go and get help or not, mental health help. So I think the media plays a huge role, and I'm really, really happy to see where we are now. As far as like just how things you see things on commercials, TV, and movies, we're talking about it a lot more.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. The narrative around mental health has shifted greatly, and a lot more. We're seeing a lot more people saying like, not, hey, I'm autistic, or I have autistic this, or I have autism, and it's just normal. Like
It's
Like my,
normal.
my my undergraduate degree is in special education, so I've trained with many people who have many different exceptionalities, not only autism, but on every end of the exceptionality list, right?
Mhm.
So I don't even think that people find it as something that's like a shock factor
Yeah,
now. It's just
yeah.
normal.
It's good, and that's the power that the media has. So I'm glad that we are now to this space and using it more responsibly. All right, let's see. I got a couple more things that I want to make sure that I get out because these conversations can easily be very doom and gloom. When it comes to mental health, when it comes to sustainability, what gives you hope right now?
What gives me hope is that I like looking at countries on the Eastern Hemisphere that are so advanced
Mhm.
in how they are using sustainability and making people care about it, right? And they're integrating it into their everyday lives. So I really look to countries in Africa, countries in Europe that have put sustainability at the forefront, and they're making it profitable for both the consumer and the corporations.
Mhm.
And when you make it profitable for the consumer and the corporation, everybody wins. And I think when
Mhm.
everybody, that helps you mentally. Like
Yeah.
honestly,
Yes.
it's a profit for both. And for me, it's gonna always come down to money. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like if
That's
the
it.
consumer's winning and the corporation's winning, you can't lose. Like
Yeah.
you really just can't lose.
Yeah. Girl, well said. I don't even know if I can add anything to that because it's perfectly said. And I think in our country, it's kind of hard to find companies that care about both. It's usually very one-sided. But what gives me hope is this entire conversation. I've learned a lot, and it's made me. I think I'm going to be more purposeful in my interactions around sustainability and how can I introduce that to my children and how can I utilize nature more to improve my mental health. So I feel really good just having this conversation. Um,
I
hmm,
want to add something. I just want to say that I think that us being Caribbean and us being African, I think that we were the trendsetters. We are, not were. We are the trendsetters in sustainability. Um,
Girl, thank you for saying that.
we,
It's
we
true.
we know how to reuse. We know how to repurpose. Like we
Everything.
believe in hand-me-downs. We believe in not throwing something away that's good. Like
Mhm.
we started it, we continue it. So when we talk about sustainability, I don't think they're talking about the Caribbean and African folks because we've been leaders in this.
Yes.
We repurpose. We, I mean, like the joke of every like Black or Caribbean household, African household, like that. Those Danish cookies with the
Girl, I already knew where you was going with that.
like you're like, what's gonna be inside? Is it a sewing kit or is it really cookies? And like it's never really cookies in there. It's
Coins.
always a sewing kit, right? Or it's always
You know
barrettes.
how to make records. Yeah.
It's always either barrettes or the sewing kit, right? Like we are the leaders. So that's why when you ask like how can we integrate, I'm like, I've been integrated. My community has been integrated. I think
Right.
that other communities outside of Black and African and Caribbean, um, it's always like a new revelation. And it's not a new revelation to us. All are just catching on, but we've been here. So buckle up.
I love that. I love that. Well, I feel comfortable ending the conversation on that because I don't know how to follow that. But you're right. We are the trendsetters. This is our stuff. We are sustainability. So care. Find ways to integrate it into
Plastic
your
bags.
plastic bags. You cut up all parts of the fruit, you use all of it. After you done ate the pineapple, you take the skins, you go make some tea. Like that's what we do. So yeah. Vanessa, if you don't have anything else for me, I want to say thank you so much. Do not take this lightly because you are my friend. You know how I see I revere you. You are so powerful. You're already doing such amazing things, and I cannot wait to see how much more you do with your what did you call it your multi potential what's
My
the word.
multi-potential life. Yes.
Yes. I can't wait to see what you do with that, and I'm excited to see what I can do more with sustainability. So we definitely gonna be talking more.
For sure, for sure, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for introducing this topic to me because we were talking about something and I'm like, well, how can I integrate environment into it? And you just were like, you helped me see the vision. So I want to say
Yeah.
thank you so much for inviting me to your platform and allowing both of us to educate the masses. And just want to if you want to keep in contact with me, www.thevanessapierre.com is how you can find out about me and everything that I'm doing, that I have done, that I will be doing. So www.thevanessapierre.com. On YouTube, The Vanessa Pierre. Follow me there. Leave me a message, leave me some positive vibes. And again, thank you so very much for inviting me on the sustainability and mental health talk. Until we see again.
Yes.